so many things, or during their daily life they have so many things to do, so their mind is 5 minutes ahead in the next hour or the next day. And that creates a split between the body and the mind. And so for most people, their bodies and minds have become sort of separated. Their body is doing one thing, but their mind is doing another thing. A classic example is somebody walking down the road or the sidewalk daydreaming, not walking where you're going, and you slip on a banana peel and fall down and sprain your arm or something, or you trip over something in front of you, or bump into somebody because you weren't paying attention to what you were doing. So many accidents arise because our minds and bodies have become sort of split. And the mind doesn't really know what the body is doing, and the body doesn't know what the mind is doing. So really the first stage of meditation practice is try to bring the mind back into the body so that they are working in more harmony. They're working in cooperation. And it's from that rejoining the mind to the body that the mind can then rest and become more centered in the present moment, clearly aware of what is occurring from moment to moment. So first stage of the meditation training is learning how to bring the mind back into the body so that they are working together. And that way we can also be aware of the needs of the body. So many people are alienated from the body so that they do a lot of things that cause harm to the body, such as overeating or eating too much bad types of foods or other types of polluting things that don't get enough exercise because they're not really in tune with the body's subtler sensations. The body has its own natural wisdom. But because of our greed and attachment to our thoughts or opinions, we do things, put things into the body or do things that are harmful for the body, and the body is saying, oh, stop, don't put in that, don't do that, don't put that into me. But the mind's not listening. It says, shut up. And out of its greed or desire, just follows its whims or fancies, and then causes the body to suffer. So anyway, when one's able to live more centered and grounded in the present moment in the body, then you are more sensitive to the various types of sensations going on in the body, and therefore treat the body in a more gentle and skillful way that can help to minimize the unnecessary pains or accidents and so on that people get into. So, the effects of meditation actually are quite varied. The effects of meditation can help the body live more tranquilly, as well as to live more tranquilly in the mind. And in doing that, you live more tranquilly with the people around you and in the world at large. So, anyway, coming back to the posture. So, the important part in the meditation, the posture, there's 3 parts of the spine that you need to pay attention to while meditating. And that is the natural inward curve of the lower spine. There's a natural inward arch of the lower spine, the lumbar spine. Because that inward curve helps to support the upper body, which is half of our weight, is in all the chest bones and the skull. So it's a lot of weight, so that inward arch helps to support the upper body. And then the shoulders should be kept back a little bit, not sort of hunched over, but to be kept back a bit. and so that you can sit more straight. And then the head, to keep the chin level with the ground. Because gravity is always pulling us down. This head weighs about 10 pounds, depending on how much hair or brains or gold crowns you have on your teeth. And there's this big jaw sticking out. Again, depending on how many gold crowns you have, it's quite heavy. And there's nothing underneath to support it. And so gravity grabs that chin, and the first thing that happens is the chin starts coming down because you haven't exercised the muscles in your neck enough to help keep it up. And as soon as the chin starts coming down, then that pulls the shoulders forward and you start to slouch. And when you slouch like that, it's like dimming the lights, because the electrical energy that runs through the nervous system is what keeps you awake. So it's like if you cramp a water hose, it impedes the flow of water. You know, when the hose, your garden hose gets a kink in it like that, the water stops flowing. So the same way, when we start to slouching, it means the awareness of the consciousness begins to dim, like dimming the light switch. And either you'll go half asleep or you'll be lost in your daydream. So learning how to sit in a straight but relaxed posture, that is a very important part of the initial training. Because if you don't have a good posture, then you're going to be fighting against that most of the time while you're meditating. And the three main obstacles to meditation or to gaining concentration are physical pain, sleepiness, and what we call monkey mind, or just incessant thinking. You're obsessing about a certain problem that you have, or just random sporadic thoughts that keep jumping through the mind. And so that blocks our ability to remain in the present moment. So I call them the three thieves, because they're trying to steal our mind away from our object of the present moment. Because when you have pain, you're trying to meditate, and then say a pain arises in your leg, and the mind gets drawn there and starts worrying, oh, there's pain, and struggling against the pain, and you totally lose your primary object of awareness. Or if you start to doze off, then also you lose your awareness. So this sleepiness is stealing your mind away. Or when you get lost in thought, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about your problems, thinking about the past, then that steals the awareness away from the present moment. So those three thieves, being aware of when they're coming, is really 90% of the work of meditation. Is learning how to recognize and to be alert when the thieves are coming, in order to sort of chase them away. Or it's like a thief at night. You know, thieves prowl around in the night, right? In your house, they prowl around the neighborhoods. People can't see them. When you turn on the lights, they run. If a thief is in your house and you turn on the flashlight, then they get scared and run out. Hopefully, these days they might shoot you, but anyway, let's just imagine that they'll run away. But so the awareness is like the flashlight. Say, thief, I recognize you. And the simple recognition can often cause them to drop off and go away. Although they might come back again or stay longer, but as long as you keep shining the light of awareness on them, then you'll be able to tolerate them longer, and they won't affect you to such a strong degree. So really, most of the work in meditation is learning how to recognize, to keep the body posture straight, and to recognize the hindrances that are trying to steal your attention away. Because once you can do those two things, meditation basically happens on its own. The mind will almost automatically become concentrated and come to rest in the present moment. And there's three primary qualities of the mind that we cultivate in the practice of meditation. These are the Buddhist terms of mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. These are considered to be qualities of the higher mind. We say the higher mind because normally we are unmindful and we are unconcentrated and we're unwise from the standpoint of the Dhamma, of the higher sort of truth. So, but mindfulness and concentration, these are the two primary ones that we cultivate in meditation. So the concentration is the ability to hold your attention on the primary object of attention. And mindfulness is the alertness when we're losing that attention, or is alert to the various things that are coming and going around that object. Even though we're trying to focus our attention, let's say, on our breathing, and to remember when breathing in, breathing out, or to remember just sitting. There's still other things going on, such as sounds, various pains or aches, of thoughts in your mind, or other distractions. So we have to be alert to those and to not to chase them and let them just come and go in the background, and allow the concentration to keep coming back to refocus on its object of concentration. So basically the primary object of concentration in this practice is the breathing or the body itself. Is the breathing and the body, let's say the body is always in the present moment. It means it's always just here. Whether you're sitting, standing, walking, laying down, doing any movements, when you're aware of that, you're fully conscious and aware of what you're doing, and at that moment the mind is also in the present moment. But many times we do so many activities of the body, but our mind is doing them, but there's no attention there. The mind is lost in thoughts because we've been doing things so automatically that the body can go on doing things, but there's not much actual awareness of it because we're lost in thoughts. Now that might be helpful in some situations, but in most situations it will end up in extra stress, intention, or even accident. So the factor of concentration helps us to keep the mind focused on our primary object. And the mindfulness is the background alertness for the three thieves or for any other potential distraction. So we use what I call the breathing body, basically, is the primary object. And you can either use the breathing itself or the posture itself. And I encourage people to sort of integrate it, and rather than separating the breathing from the body, to see how they're actually integrated in process, and they're going on simultaneously. The breathing is occurring within the sitting body. But people's minds are different. So some people might be able to focus, gain more concentration by limiting their attention to just feeling the breathing. But other people might not be able to do that if their mind is a little bit more active or for some other reason. So you can just feel the body itself. And it's just to keep remembering, sitting, by feeling your buttocks pressing the cushion, feeling the way the feet are touching the ground, feeling your hands touching together, feeling the straightness of the back, feeling the head, and just mentally kind of just noticing the various parts of the posture, letting the mind kind of just float around, keeping the feeling of the body in the mind's eye. So that also is an effective means of holding the attention in the present moment. Or one can just feel the process of breathing, the expanding and contracting of the breathing in the center of the body. For the practice of mindfulness, that's the more suitable or easiest thing to feel, is to feel the expansion and contraction of the abdomen, the rib cage, and the chest as you're breathing in, and to feel the contraction of the abdomen, rib cage, or chest as you're breathing out. So you focus the attention there like looking through a magnifying glass, try to feel those movements. And what you feel will be the sort of the touch of the clothing. As the breath comes in and expands, you feel the touch of the clothing against your stomach or rib cage or chest, the friction of the clothing touching the skin, and that's what you actually feel. Or you might feel if you have some little pains or anything in your ribs or stomach or chest, you can notice those too. But anyway, any of those sensations will help keep your attention sort of centered there in the middle of the body. But actually I encourage people to develop this awareness of breathing in the short space after the in-breath, to remember and feel the general posture, aware of sitting, and then feeling the out-breath, and again feeling the body in the short pause after the out-breath, remembering that you're sitting. So the simplest definition of mindfulness is actually to remember, but to remember the present moment. Not remembering how much money you have in the bank, although that can help. You don't overdraw your checks. But specifically remembering the present moment. What is this body doing right now? It's sitting here, it's breathing in, it's sitting, breathing out, and it's sitting. So that's what we call the basic present moment. Of course, many other things are happening, but that's the container. Everything else happens within the breathing body. So just remembering that, and even making those little mental notes to yourself. Just keep repeating the words, in, sitting, out, sitting, and just keeping remembering that basic process. That is one's primary concentration of it. But then the awareness is the watchdog that alerts you for the thieves. You have a watchdog at home. He barks when a thief comes into the yard. Or a stranger. He alerts you. Right? But people have the watchdogs at home. They alert you. You're distracted in the living room watching television. The dog barks. You get, oh, somebody's coming. What's going on? In the same way, mindfulness is that background watchdog that alerts us when a thief is coming in. That means when you're getting drawn out to some external distraction or getting struggling against some pain in the body or just lost in your thoughts. Or if you hear a sound and you start, oh, who's doing that? Your mind gets drawn out and distracted. So the mindfulness helps us to notice that distraction and then let go of it and keep bringing the attention back to in sati, out sati. So anyway, that's just in a very briefly. That was sort of the initial and the beginning phases of developing both mindfulness and concentration and learning how to bring the mind back into the body. The longer as you develop the ability to hold the attention in the present moment, not being so distracted, then of course that's when you start experiencing a deeper level of inner tranquility and the mind lets go of its obsession with the past and future and therefore becomes more buoyant and tranquil. Because all problems are problems of the past and the future. Try to think of any problem that you have that's not related in some way to the past or future. You won't be able to do that. Even if it's just the future 1 minute from now or 2 seconds from now. So the longer you can rest the mind in the present moment, then the less connection to the past and future gets drawn in, and therefore you experience deeper tranquility. Now, even though that might sound like quite a straightforward and obvious description, actually doing it is not that easy, and so it takes a lot of training. But anyway, that's what we want to try to practice today, especially for those who haven't done much meditation tomorrow, just to get a taste of that, or for the others who have been meditating, perhaps just to be, again, as a refresher, review, or give you some alternate types of experience to develop your practice. But before we actually start meditating, because we've already been sitting for some time, we're going to, in a minute, be standing up, and we're going to do a short standing, first of all, do a short standing awareness, and then do a few simple stretching exercises that will help to get your mind kind of in touch with the body, bring it into the present moment, before then doing our first full kind of sitting. So far, does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions about anything that I just mentioned, feel free to raise your hand.